what went out throughout the week in the world of markets. Here we are again talking the markets. This is Markets Weekly on Nairametrics Television. My name is Frank Fagbo. We've got a lot lined up for you from Netflix, really shaking the world of sport broadcasting to what is happening in the consumer goods sector. All of this is what we're going to take a look at on this episode of Markets Weekly. Now let's take a look at what is happening. Analysts are predicting the rise in consumer goods stocks for February of 2025. Consumer goods stocks are getting a lot of attention this season. Now this month, as analysts at Cardinal Stone predict strong gains, with the Naira stabilizing and consumer spending rebounding, companies like Nestle Nigeria, Unilever Nigeria PLC, and USC Nigeria PLC have all reported an impressive revenue growth from 18.3% to 15.6% and 12.9% respectively. Decent numbers, if you ask me. Now, these firms have benefited from a 3.5% increase in retail sales volume, reflecting strong demand for essential goods. Now, beyond their revenue growth, a lot of investors are saying that it is a good place to play, and then investor sentiment is playing a big role with their numbers. Now, with interest rates still relatively high, many investors are shifting toward equities with strong fundamentals, and it looks like some of the stocks in the consumer goods sector have strong fundamentals, and that's where we're seeing investors pitching their tent. Will these stocks continue to climb, or will rising inflation put a stop on these impressive gains? Only time will tell, and you sure know that we'll keep you abreast as how all of this unfolds in the market. Let's move on to the next. We're seeing that Nigeria's Eurobond yield drops to 39-day low as investors interest rises. So the international debt market is seeing a strong interest in Nigeria Eurobonds as yields fell to a 39-day low of 9.13% on February 4th. 2025. Now, that's a drop from 9.21%. Now, the previous day, 9.21% the previous day, with bonds maturing in November of 2025, seeing a 15.6 basis point decline. That's some pretty much decent decline, if you ask me. Long-term bonds, such as those maturing in January 2031, saw a 12.4 basis point drop to 9.06%. And what's really behind all of this rally? We're seeing that investors' confidence in Nigeria is rising, and it helped by an increase in foreign reserves, improved economic indicators, and consistent debt servicing by the federal government. Now, for international investors, lower yields means that they are willing to accept low returns because they see less risks. But how long will all this optimism last? That's a big question that a lot of investors need to answer, and a lot of investors are asking. We're definitely going to keep you informed as all of this unfolds in the Eurobond market. Let's move on to what is happening in Treasury bills. A lot of decent numbers, if you ask me. 3.1 trillion naira. That's for February auction, oversubscribed. A lot of Nigerians are taking advantage of what is happening in our money market. And that's why you're seeing 3.1 trillion naira. Investors are still hungry for safe assets, as the CBN Treasury bills auction proved just that. Now, the government initially offered 750 billion naira. But subscriptions surged past 3.1 trillion. So to put it in context, imagine offering 750 billion naira and people got, and it got oversubscribed to 3.1 trillion. Meaning a lot of investors are taking advantage of what is happening in the money market. I'll give you some of the details as regards 91 days bill. You're seeing offered at 50 billion naira, with subscription reaching 184. Now for 91-day bill, it was offered at 50 billion naira and it got to 184.7 billion naira. The stop rate was 18%. Now, 82-day bill offered at 100 billion naira, with subscriptions hitting 312.8 billion naira. Now, the stop rate was 18.5%. That is more than 200% oversubscription. You are really taking advantage of this, because why on earth Will the 182-day bills be more than 200% oversubscribed? That gives you an insight as to what is happening in the money market. 364-day bills offered at 500 billion naira saw a jaw-dropping 3.16 trillion in subscriptions, with an allotment of 619.36 billion naira. Now, the stop rate for 364-day bills was 20%. Now, this trend really highlights the preference for low risk and high yield investment, especially with inflation still around the corner. A lot of investors are saying that it's high time they continue to take good advantage of the yields coming in from Treasury bills. Let's see what is going to happen at the end of the first quarter of 2025. Perhaps, who knows, whether during the next MPC meeting we're going to experience some rate hike, or maybe some rate hike, or perhaps even the NPR is going to further hold, or whether we're going to experience some hold or rate cut. That will determine how much yield we get from Treasury bills. And then the next on our list is that Nigeria's money market fund yield money markets mutual fund yields average 20.58% in January. Now, if you're looking for a high yield, low risk investment, then money markets mutual funds is one for you. There's a pretty decent yield from the money markets mutual fund. We're seeing some 20.58% return in January 2025. Some funds have even outperformed these 20.58% numbers. We're seeing some funds getting as high as 22%. The total net asset value for this fund now stands at 1.887 trillion naira. With liquidity conditions favorable and short-term interest rates still high, many investors are seeing that this is a way to preserve capital while earning competitive returns, especially compared to traditional savings account that is around the 5% interest for Nigerian banks. And many investors are taking advantage of what is happening in mutual funds. All right, let's take a look at what's happening across the globe. We're seeing that Netflix is really disrupting the sport broadcasting world. And what they are doing right now, they're trying to play in the space of Formula One. Now, Netflix is making a bold move, considering a bid for Formula One's US broadcasting rights, currently held by ESPN under a $90 million deal. Now, these rights are now open for bidding. Industry insiders believe that Netflix could offer anywhere between $120 million and $150 million per year to secure the contract. Why exactly is Netflix interested in investing in Formula One? Remember Netflix hit series, Drive to Survive. It has massively boosted the sports US viewership with a 120% increase since 2018. Adding live broadcasting would be a game changer and allowing Netflix to step into the sports streaming arena against competitors like Amazon Prime and Apple TV. But can Netflix pull this up? You sure know that on Nairametrics TV, we'll keep you updated as to how all of this unfolds. Let's look at some other stories coming in from the globe. We're seeing that Amazon has surpassed Walmart in their earnings results, especially as regards revenue. But we're seeing that their stocks is still experiencing some decline. Amazon has officially overtaken Walmart in revenue, posting $187 billion in the fourth quarter of 2024 compared to Walmart's $152.3 billion. And this is a huge milestone for e-commerce. But despite this, Amazon stocks fell 5.7% after a weaker than expected Q1 forecast. Now, the company predicts $151 billion to $155 billion in the Q1 of 2025. And well, all fingers are crossed. We're trying to watch and see how they're going to pull this through, falling short of analysis projection of $158.6 billion naira. Amazon blamed $2.1 billion. Amazon's 2025 Q1 result, based on their prediction, is that they're going to make nothing less than between $151 billion to $155 billion in the first quarter of 2025. But a lot of analysts are projecting $158.6 billion. And Amazon is blaming the $2.1 billion foreign exchange impact and slowing e-commerce growth for the softer outlook. Meanwhile, Amazon Web Services, AWS, pulled in $28 billion in the fourth quarter of 2024, just under its estimate of $28.9 billion. Now, to stay ahead, I was saying that Amazon is investing over $100 billion in AI and cloud expansion. A lot of investors are taking advantage of the AI frenzy, and some of these Fortune 500 companies are pitching their tent around artificial intelligence. You sure know that that is where the gold mine is, and keeping fingers crossed. And investors are watching and seeing how they can take advantage of this gold mine. Let's move on to what is happening with Trump's tax plan and the tariff threat shaking the market. So markets is going frenzy after the US President Donald Trump proposed closing a major tax loophole benefiting hedge fund managers, a move that could significantly impact the financial industry. Now, this move allows fund managers to pay lower capital gains taxes instead of higher income taxes, and it has long been a contentious issue. And you know, Mr. Trump is really looking for ways to cut down on costs and even generate much more revenue running a lean governance model. Analysts are estimating that eliminating this loophole could generate over $18 billion in tax revenue over the next decade. But a lot of hedge fund leaders argue that this will discourage investment and hurt the market liquidity. Trump's renewed stance on tariff also sent the shockwaves through global markets. The US president suggested imposing new tariff on imported goods, particularly targeting China and European Union and the EU, leading to a 2.8% drop in the S&P 500 and 1.5% decline in the Dow Jones Industrial Average. A lot of the market watchers are worried that the escalating trade tensions could disrupt global supply chains and increase inflationary pressure. How would all of this reshape the global markets? Time will tell, and we've got our fingers crossed to see how this unfolds. Up next, we're taking a look at what is happening in our equities market, the NGX. How do they perform this week? Monday, the 3rd of February 2025, we're seeing that the market had a strong start. And similar thing happened last week. It looks like every Monday the market is up for a strong start. We kick off the week with a positive momentum at the NGX All-Share Index, nudge up 0.13% to close at 104,630.3 points. But was it a convincing start? Let's take a look at a few of the numbers from market capitalization on Monday, which was 64.79 trillion naira, and the volume traded was 510 million volume. That's some 59.64% decline. Value traded was 13.25 billion. And that's some decline of 14.07%. Some of the top gainers: Better Glass, 10% gains. Presco, 10% gains. Okumu Oil was saying 9.997%. 9.99%. Now, the top losers: UPL, decline of 10%, Omatech, 9.88% decline, and Scal, 9.83% decline. The most traded stocks were seeing FBN Holdings, that's First Bank of Nigeria Holdings, it's 3.99 million shares, and then 2.4 billion naira, value of 2.4 billion naira. Zenith Bank, 54.53 million shares, valued at 2.72 billion naira. And Universal Insurance, you're seeing 32.5 million shares, valued at 21.011 million naira. On Tuesday, the 4th of February 2025, small steps up. While on Tuesday we saw a bit of a slow climb down, we saw a bit of a slow climb. The NGX All-Share Index added 0.15% gains in the market, closing at 104,788 points. And it started to build momentum with the market capitalization at 64.88 trillion naira, and the volume traded was 471 million volumes. Decline of 7.61%. Value traded 19.88 billion naira value. That's some 50% gains in the market. Let's take a look at some of the top losers and the top gainers. We're starting with the top gainers. Universal Insurance, 10% gains. Red Star X, 10% gains. And Better Glass, 9.98% gains. We're seeing the top losers. Ikeja Hotel, decline of 9.55%. NEM Insurance, 6.59% decline. And Sunu Insurance, 6.14% decline. Some of the most traded stocks. FBN also featured amongst the most traded stocks, with 83.07 million shares traded at a value of 2.42 billion naira. Zenith Bank, 29.52 million shares at a value of 1.45 billion naira. Universal Insurance, 24.20 million shares at a value of 15.75 million naira. On Wednesday, the 5th of February, 2025, midweek surge. Consistent gains in the market from Monday to Tuesday to Wednesday. And then on Wednesday, we saw the all-share index experience some 0.51% gains, hitting 105,324.89 points. Now, with a market capitalization of 65.22 trillion naira. Volume traded was 1.5 billion volume of shares. That's some 124% gains as regards volumes. And then we're seeing the value traded was 28 billion naira as regards value. That's some 44% gains compared to what happened the previous day. Some of the top gainers were seeing Scow among the top gainers, 10% gains. Okomo Oil, 10% gains also. And Unicel, 10% gains in the market. The top losers in the market, May Baker, Academy Insurance, and Thomas White all had 9.33% decline and 9.31% decline respectively. The most traded stocks, Access Corporation featured amongst the most traded stocks, 473 million shares traded at a value of 12.56 billion naira. FBN Holdings also featured among the top traded stocks, 90 million shares traded as at Wednesday, valued at 3 billion naira. USC also featured among the top traded stocks, 46 million shares traded, valued at 1.67 billion naira. On Thursday, the 6th of February, 2025, we had a soft landing with the all-share index having a 0.1% gains in the market at 105,430 points. Now, will the vessels take profit or will the market rally continue into the weekend? We're going to find out how the market closed on Friday. But for now, we're still taking a look at what happened on Thursday. Market capitalization at 65.28 trillion naira, and the volume traded was 537 million shares. And that's some 49% decline from the number of shares, volume of shares we experienced on Wednesday. Look at what the value traded on Thursday was 23 billion naira. That's some 20% decline compared to what happened on Wednesday. Top gainers, we're seeing Etana among the top gainers, 9.88% gains, and then Cadbury also 9.88% gains. Fitsin featured among the top gainers. As the first time it's featuring among the top gainers in this week, 9.77% gains. Some of the top losers we're seeing Triple G, 9.72% decline, and then Gold Brewery, we're seeing 8.9% decline. Veritas also experienced some 7.81% decline. Some of the top traded stocks for Thursday were saying Access Corporation also featuring amongst the top traded stocks at 61 million shares, valued at 1.69 billion. Sterling Nigeria also featured among the top traded stocks, 50 million shares traded at valued at 296 million naira. Zenith Bank also featured among the top traded stocks, 40.5 million shares valued at 2 billion naira. And then how did the market close on Friday, which is the final trading day of the week? The market closed on the week on a high. The market closed on a high note as the NGX, that's the all-share index of the NGX, jumped at 0.48% gains, reaching 105,930 33 points. It looks like this week has been an exciting week for the NGX. How did the market close? Let's take a look at how the market closed on Friday. Closed on a high note, experiencing some 0.48% gains in the market, the all-share index, and that closed at 105,933 points. Look at the market capitalization, 65.59 trillion naira, with volumes traded at 473 million shares. Now that is valued at 13.37 billion naira. We're going to take a look at some of the top gainers and then the top losers. Who was the first to feature among the top gainers for the week? We're seeing Cadbury featuring the first time among the top gainers this week, having a 9.93% impressive gains in the market. Academy had some 9.93% gains, and Etana also had some 9.90% gains. Now let's take a look at some of the top losers. We're seeing Multiverse experiencing some 9.95% decline, and Mercury also experiencing some 9.71% decline, and then the Nigerian Police Microfinance Bank also experiencing some 7.94% decline in the market. Some of the top traded stocks for Friday close of markets, we're seeing Zenith Bank featuring among the top traded stocks and having some 108 million shares traded on the floor of the NGX, valued at 4.9 billion naira. Kutix also featured among the top traded stocks, 24 million shares traded, valued at 58 million naira. And then Access Corporation, 28 million shares traded, valued at 657 million naira. And that's it for this week of Market Weekly. We'll catch up with you to give you up-to-date information as to everything happening in the market, from the global market to equities market to what is happening as regards the market trend. My name is Frank Fagbo. Until next time, cheers.